Hey everybody. Chapter 7. A wee thing. When Ben got back to the Tempest Fugit, the cell phone in his book bag was buzzing. He glanced at his watch, yanked at the bag's zipper, and grabbed his phone. "Hi, Mom," he said, because it was 4 o'clock and his mom called him at 4 every single afternoon. Dead air. That means no sound. Then, "I'm definitely not your mom." "Oh, hi." It was Jill. "I called 3 times. You at home?" "No, yes, at the boat." "Well, I wanted to say I'm sorry for getting mad." "No," he said, "it was my fault." Ben picked up his backpack, walked out onto the catwalk between the slips, and stepped up onto the deck of the boat. "Yes, I agree. It was completely your fault," she said, and he could hear the smile in her voice. "Still, I shouldn't have gotten all huffy and stupid." "Right," he added, "completely stupid, really." "So," she said. "So," he replied. Ben had his key out now, and he opened the hatch and took 3 steps down into the galley, the tiny kitchen of the sailboat. She said, "Could you do something for me?" "That depends," he said. "Send me the words from both sides of the coin in a text or an email, okay?" "How come?" "I want to see the exact words again, really look at them, and do some more thinking. And I'm going to look through all the stuff my mom collected about that company during the hearings, just to see who we're up against here." "Whoa," said Ben. "Who we're up against? When did this turn into a we thing?" "When you showed me that coin, and when you said Mr. Keene would have trusted me. Except we both know he would have trusted me more, 'cause I'm so naturally charming. And humble, too." "Right," said Jill. "I'm very proud of how humble I am." Humble means not proud at all. Ben was in the saloon now, the main living area of the boat. He flopped onto the couch and put his feet up on the table that was bolted to the floor. Smiling, he said, "Well, my bravery scares me sometimes, but I'll send you those words anyway." "Good," said Jill. "And I'll meet you tomorrow morning at the corner of Jefferson and Atlantic." "Right, because I'm so much fun to hang out with." "I can deal," she said. 7:45 okay?" "Yep, bye." "Bye." Ben had barely closed his phone when it rang again. He pushed talk, and using his most cheerful voice, he said, "Hi, Mom," because this time it really was her. "Hi, Ben. Just wanted to be sure you got home all right." "It's 7 blocks, Mom. I'm fine. I'm always fine." Ignoring that, she said, "So, how's everything going?" Ben dreaded this daily question. If his answer sounded too happy, she worried that he was hiding his true feelings, or worse, that he didn't miss her at all. And if he let on that he was upset or sad, sometimes she got super motherly or even weepy, and he really couldn't deal with that. So, in a neutral tone, he said, "Everything's pretty good. School's going okay, and I'm really glad the weather's getting nicer. We have to plant the garden soon, you know. So, yeah, everything's good. How's Nelson?" Rats, he thought. Dumb question. He tried to think quick and change the subject, but it was too late. His mom paused a second, and then there was a catch in her voice. "Poor thing hates it when you're gone. Runs to the door with his tail wagging like mad. And when it's not you, he just mopes back to his bed. Hardly eats a bite all week." "Well, I'll be home Saturday, Mom. Can't wait to be with you. So give Nelson a pat and tell him we're all okay." "That's right." She sounded braver now. "That's right, sweetheart. Well, good to talk. And I'll call you tomorrow, and I'll see you on Saturday. And remember that I'm going to drive over to the sailing club at about 1:30, and after your race, we'll go get something to eat before you come home." "Right. And thanks for calling. Love you." "I love you too, Ben. Bye." "Bye, Mom." On any other afternoon, a chat like that would have left Ben staring out a porthole for 10 minutes. It's like a window on the boat. Maybe longer, worrying about his mom and dad and everything else. like his first sailing race of the season. But not today. Today he had to think about other things. He had a mission now, plus a partner. Which reminded him that he had to text Jill the words from the coin and maybe make some plans for tomorrow, because it wasn't going to be just another Friday at school. In one day, everything about the place had changed. There was that word again. No way to avoid it. Maybe the changes could at least be controlled a little, or maybe a lot. Duncan Oaks seemed to think it was possible and important, but he was dead and gone. This job needed someone very much alive and present, and Ben knew who it had to be. Chapter 8, War Zone. It was Friday morning, and Ben was deep in thought as he walked beside the harbor on his way to meet Jill. He was thinking about Thursday night with his dad aboard the Tempest Fugit, replaying it through his mind almost word for word, moment by moment, starting as they made dinner together. "So, Ben," his dad had asked, "how was school today?" "Well, this old janitor gave me a secret gold coin, and he made me promise I'd keep the school from being destroyed. And then he died." That's what he hadn't said. All that stuff was secret. He had a big social studies test, and I'm pretty sure I aced it. That means got everything right. That's what had come out, which hadn't been much of a surprise. There's someone, yes. Someone's at the door, so I had to wave. That's what had come out, which hadn't been much of a surprise. But his dad had still said, "That's great," then asked, "Pass me the oregano, will you?" Ben wished he could have talked about the plans to tear down the school and about his terrible nightmare, and especially about Mr. Keene's death, but he kept all those thoughts and feelings bottled up, a skill he knew he was getting too good at. And he handed his dad the oregano. Then his dad asked him, "So what do you think about Saturday's race? Your class is still sailing the Optimists, right?" That's the kind of boat. And thinking about it, Ben knew that question had rescued the evening, because suddenly there was plenty of stuff that they both loved to talk about. They analyzed the weather forecast: strong breeze from the west, low 70s, some afternoon sun, excellent conditions for May in the Atlantic. And then there was the course. Would the race committee make it a 2-buoy course, or would they lay out a triangle? Lots of possibilities. "But I just bet," his dad had said, "what with the water temperature in the 40s, it's probably going to be a short course. A 40-minute race, tops." And Ben had agreed. Over salad and warm bread and steaming plates of spaghetti and sauce, they talked about starting strategies, and about the new sails the club had bought, and also about clothes. "Does your wetsuit still fit?" his dad had asked. "You'll need it out there, guaranteed." "Actually, it's too small, so Mom got me a dry suit. Weighs almost nothing. Should be great." That had stopped the conversation cold. "A dry suit? I don't know, Ben. There's nothing like a good wetsuit right next to your skin when there's a stiff spray coming on board. But you'll just have to see how this other thing works, that's all. If it's lousy, then we'll go to the swamp shop and get you a new wetsuit, okay?" Walking along the harbor 12 hours later, there was one thing Ben wished he'd been able to tell his dad about the race, because he hadn't told him that his mom was also coming to watch. But maybe he already knew that. Ben was pretty sure his mom and dad talked on the phone a lot, but he never really overheard them. Thinking ahead to the race, he imagined taking first place, because that would be something both his parents could feel happy about. Maybe they could even be happy about it together. Maybe they would remember how much they loved to go sailing together. And then that big summer trip to the Bahamas just might seem like a good idea again. But Ben knew that was a long shot, a very long shot. Still. After dinner, he had gone to his room, a tiny cabin up in the bow of the boat. It was barely big enough for a single bunk with 2 drawers beneath it and a tiny fold-down desk that could hold his laptop and 1 book at a time. It's a picture of his room. He spent the night working on a reading assignment and also replying to the emails Jill kept sending him. Way too much information, really. She could be like that sometimes, obsessing about stuff, like the time in 4th grade when they had worked together on a science fair project about the ozone layer. Jill had checked out 5 huge library books, found half a dozen, that's 6, articles on the NASA and the NOAA websites, and even did a telephone interview with a professor at Endicott College, all to make a small tabletop display and give a 4-minute oral presentation. Still, all the little details she was finding out about the Tall Ships Ahoy project might be useful, and he was glad she liked digging around for them. The next morning, Jill met him at the corner of Jefferson and Atlantic, and they began retracing their steps to school. Except this morning, they walked on the west side of the street. A strong east wind had come up overnight, and the larger waves showered the harborside path with a heavy spray of seawater. It means the waves were so big it was splashing water onto the sidewalk. Jill picked up where her emails had left off the night before. "So what did you think about that last batch of stuff I sent? Sort of scary, don't you think?" "Yeah, scary's the right word." Jill's final email had been about the Glenley Entertainment Group, the company that had bought the school property. In the past 4 years, they had opened 3 new historical theme parks. And each time they had crushed every bit of opposition from the local communities. These people were ruthless. That means they won no matter what. But Ben had been wondering about an earlier message Jill had sent him, the one about the captain's last will and testament. She had found a copy of the will in the handouts her mom had brought home from one of the public meetings. One quote had stuck in his mind. "If the town ever stops using the Oaks building and its grounds as a public school, then full ownership shall pass immediately to my direct heirs." As they paused to let the spray die down from the unusually large wave, he said, "I don't see how the town overturned the captain's will. I thought a thing like that was impossible to change." "They didn't change it," said Jill. "They went around it. First, the Glenley lawyers found the captain's heirs, about 15 people. And then they got the town to make the heirs an offer. Heirs just means like great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. Like the people in his family way down the line. They got the town to make the heirs an offer. "If you give up all your rights to the school property, the town will pay each of you $500,000 right now. But if any of you refuse, then the building will go on being a school forever, and none of you will ever get a penny." So all of the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren of Captain Oaks sold out to the town, and then the town turned around and sold everything to the Glenley Group for more money. Like $35 million. And everything was nice and legal, even though they completely trashed the captain's will. $35 million? Really? Jill nodded. "That's the money they're using to build the new school." "Sheesh. How do you fight people who've got that much money to throw around?" "By being smarter," said Jill, without missing a beat. "And by learning stuff they don't know about yet. And that message on the coin? Captain Oaks must have figured something like this would happen. An attack. And he definitely wants us to look for something." "Right," Ben said. "On the upper deck. Wherever that is." They both fell silent as they crossed Washington Street and entered the school grounds. After about 10 steps, they stopped short and stared. Off to their left, midway between a copper beech tree and a tall white oak, A woman wearing an orange safety vest and a blue hard hat was hammering a long wooden stake into the ground. And she had been busy. There were 8 or 10 others scattered around the schoolyard. About 100 yards beyond her, a man dressed the same way was peering into something that looked like a telescope on a yellow tripod. The woman dropped her hammer and tied a strip of bright pink ribbon around the top of the stake. Huge red X marks had been spray painted onto most of the tree trunks. What do you think that means? If there's X's on the tree trunks, what do you think that means?